one of the greatest gifts God can bestow upon a fighter is power. The kind that is capable of fading consciousness to black. Yet, its true value is revealed only when it meets a boxer chiseled with a granite chin. For it is the presence of resistance that one learns the true measure of the blessings. Gervonta "Tank" Davis blends the rare archetype of a calculated power puncher with exceptional counterpunching abilities, fighting from the southpaw stance. Davis's greatest strength lies in his touch of death, but what sets him apart is his profound sense of timing and distance. He patiently preys on his opponents, as no mistake goes unpunished. He butchers any openings with the fury of violence. Leading up to his bout with Lamont Roach Jr., Gervonta "Tank" Davis had shown occasional flaws in his game, but his innate power consistently bailed him out of trouble. Against Roach, however, the dynamic shifted. Roach, a boxer moving up in weight and not known for stunning punching power, proved to be a challenging puzzle for Davis. So what was it about Roach's style that troubled Davis so much in ways others hadn't? As with most things, the answer isn't so straightforward. There are many variables to consider. To start, we have to look into Roach's disciplined style. He's a well-rounded boxer, technically schooled on both ends of offense and defense. On the other hand, Tank Davis is a natural counterpuncher who thrives on opponents who get overly aggressive, causing them to fall into his traps. His balanced approach gave Tank plenty of problems, particularly because Roach wasn't intimidated by Tank's power or presence. Though his lack of fear didn't mean he lacked respect, Roach dared to sit in the pocket with the bigger puncher. And the key reason he was able to do so was due to his airtight defense, which allowed him to hold his ground.
Two beasts in those first rounds, but it's low output. Both of them are styling and profiling with their ring fits here tonight.
Roach operates from a slick defensive shell, relying heavily on his instincts and timing. Rather than using a static guard, he blocks each punch individually and is sure to not stay in the same position longer than necessary. His defense is dynamic, involving plenty of bending at the hips and rolling with the punches. By constantly changing levels and rolling with punches, he minimizes the impact even if the punch finds his mark, ensuring it doesn't connect flush. Roach also adjusts his range, pulling out the pocket when needed, while always keeping his hands in position to protect himself from any follow-up attacks.
45 seconds left. Very close, and you see round two where Roach outlanded.
At its core, sitting in a pocket fundamentally shifts the dynamics of a fight. With Roach holding his ground at arm's reach, he remains a constant threat to Tank, applying steady pressure without the need of throwing a high volume of punches. This is important as it lessens the need for Roach to open himself up more than needed to counters. Close proximity alone keeps Tank on edge, as the possibility of a sudden strike is ever present, creating a psychological tension that lingers throughout the battle for positioning. This is where Roach's ring intelligence is most evident, as he sits patiently, coiled like a cobra, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Every punch thrown is deliberate and purposeful. Nothing is wasted.
Well timed. Tank getting in. There it is.
Given Tank's reputation as an elite counterpuncher, Roach tactically employs his jab, not always aiming to land, but rather to provoke a reaction from Tank. Since a counterpuncher like Tank is constantly setting traps, Roach uses his jab to deliberately trigger them. One of Roach's most effective tactics is targeting Tank's lead glove with the jab. When he does this, Tank frequently misjudges the distance, thinking the jab will fall short, and launches his counter. This, in turn, creates the very opening Roach has been anticipating, countering a counterpuncher.
And right hand. Boom. He counterpunched Tank.
By using the jab sparingly, Roach makes it challenging for Tank to get a clear read. If Tank reacts to every feint or jab, he not only expends more energy, but also reveals his intentions. Overreacting can lead to hesitation, making Tank second guess when to pull the trigger on his counters. Most importantly, Tank's inability to accurately read Roach's jab gives Roach the freedom to choose the right moments to commit to his attacks. Punch mechanics were also a key factor in Roach's success. He consistently threw clean, short punches, rarely loading up for power. Roach's background emphasized sharp, quick shots over wide, telegraphed swings. His constant body movement allowed him to stay in position to generate power when necessary, without sacrificing speed or precision.
Final 60 seconds.
Earn Tank's respect. Haven't seen that up to this point.
Trying to come forward but unable to launch an attack, and now the press.
Roach generated power in his punches, primarily through calculated positioning. By planting his feet and pulling his shoulders to defend, he naturally loaded up power, setting himself up to explode into his shots. Roach also created opportunities for power by slipping and rolling, pulling his shoulders back to evade punches. This movement allowed him to transition between defense and offense, and vice versa, calling counters from concealed angles. These subtle shifts of positioning not only helped Roach disguise his punches, but also made his strikes more deliberate and difficult to anticipate.
Deflecting some of these shots. Short left hand from Roach. Counter right hand. 30 seconds left in the ninth. Davis missed punches for Roach. Affairs here in round 10, where Roach has landed 8 of 26 rounds. And to go back to the situation involving Davis, the commission.
Despite Tank's offensive adequacies, his primary weakness was his reliance on counterpunching, a flaw that Roach exploited with his highly disciplined approach. Roach refused to lead recklessly and instead matched Tank's patience, maintaining a cautious and defensive style. Tank's habit of waiting for the perfect moment exposed him against a risk-averse, defensive sound opponent in Roach, who was able to outmaneuver a cunning power puncher even without stopping power. Through it all, it was Roach's ring IQ that made this a challenging matchup for Tank, whose success relied on punishing opponents' mistakes with explosive counters.
Could very well be the other way on the official scorecard.
And judges in this one. Wow. Still talking to Tank.
And Davis eats the body shot. And another. On Davis.
Wow, Roach has to keep doing that.
Again, he could very well be on the verge of being.
Tells he knows his weaknesses. It's one thing to say it.
Again,
He landed a punch.
yeah, and he's throwing at him.
And yet as competitive as it gets, Abner.
Tank Davis back. He always had a response to